A warm welcome to everyone to this tutorial and a special welcome to all of our new subscribers. All right, for this tutorial, I promise you it's going to be an interesting one. It will be informative, it will be educative. Just stay by and let us rub minds together and let me reveal some of the ideas that will help us in our fashion work and also to instill in us the skills that are necessary for the growth in this industry. First, we'll be talking about the basic, that's tape rule. We'll have to start with tape rule. Without tape rule, you cannot measure. Those in advance are already aware of this, but beginners, this is majorly for you. Be aware of the tape rule. We have different type of tape rules that are different measurements. In fact, what I do is whichever tape rule I work with, I use in taking the measurement. That is what I use in drafting my pattern. All right. So look at this tape rule. We have different measurements on this tape rule. Different measurements on this tape rule. The inches are not the same. The inches are not the same. So imagine using this to measure, to take your client's measurements, and you are using this to draft your basic pattern. You are going to end up with different measurements. You are going to come up with an entirely wrong drafting measurement. All right. So take note of it. Whatever tape rule you use in measuring your client is also the same you use in drafting out your pattern. Secondly, on tape rule, please, this we are fond of managing our tape rule because it gets damaged easily. Look at this tape rule. It has broken at one edge, at an edge here. So even if I try to manage to use this tape rule, it's not going to give me the exact measurement because like 0.3 inches has been cut out of it. So if I try to use it, I'm going to end up with a wrong measurement. So just try as much as possible to always get a new tape rule. It's in Nigeria, I think we have it around 300 naira or 200 naira, 200 naira, yeah. So it's not so much. In fact, you can just plan yourself to use a tape rule per month. It's not that difficult because it's going to affect your measurement. It's going to affect your work. So imagine using just 200 naira to damage the work of 100,000 naira. Imagine. All right. So we have to take this important as well. Then lastly, on tape rule, on taking our measurement on tape rule, measure twice before you cut. That is a Tailor adage. Measure twice before you cut. Let this always ring in your head. Whenever I'm drafting, once I'm through drafting, I'll go through it, reconfirm my measurements, go back and retake my measurements again before cutting. It is very, very vital. It saves us from a lot of trouble. How to take an accurate measurement. I know almost all of us, majority of us knows how to take measurements, but there is a part where we make mistakes. And at the end of the day, our clients do complain on that very part. And what is the part I'm talking about? The biceps. The biceps. The biceps is the biggest part of your arm. For my own, here is the biggest part of the arm. We have it here. So when taking our measurements, the client's hands is always straight. When we are taking our measurements, all right, the lines, the short sleeve, the quarter sleeve, and the long sleeve. But whenever we are taking the round measurements, we also maintain a straight hand. It shouldn't be, especially for the biceps, the thicker or the wider or the bigger part of your arm. When you want to take the circumference of this very place. This is where we call biceps. Of this very place, tell your clients to fold it like this because by the time I fold my hand like this bicep comes up. It's expanded a bit. It's expanded a bit. So even if it is by 1 inch or 2 inch, it makes a difference. Okay, so always tell your client to fold his or her arm like this so that you can take the accurate biceps and there won't be any complaint around this place because for female majorly we accumulate our fat around here. So folding the hands helps to save us from the trouble of taking the wrong measurements. All right. So we are still on measurement. Another place is also our waist. Just the same mistake we make with our biceps, we also make it with our waist. Whenever you are taking a measurement, your client's measurement, when you get to the waist, please confirm if they have eaten. Confirm if they have eaten, and also if they've not eaten, ask them, do their stomach expand? It's not embarrassing, please. It's just for you to safeguard your job. If you have eaten, please, do your stomach stays the same or it's protrude a bit, then they will tell you. Because as at the time you are taking that measurement, probably they've not eaten or maybe they are fasting. And by the time you are through sewing the clothes, they've broken their fast, they are now eating, they've added weight. It's going to affect your job. You understand? So take note of that too. Confirm, trying to find out if they've eaten and if that is their actual waist size, and hope they are not fasting. Okay, so it's just a bit of question, a bit of personal question that had to do with the security of your own job. All right, so let's take note the bicep area and the waist area. We should take note of that as well. Then on measurements taking, the very important, or let me say the most important aspect of measurement is that do not accept a job do not accept a job where you are not the one that takes the measurement. Do not accept a job where you are not the one that takes the measurement. And in that case, where you want to accept it, please remember to leave some terms and conditions. So based on my own experience, I have this client that recommended me to someone. They are in the US. All right. So when by the time they sent in their measurement, it was not correct. After going through the measurement, I discovered it was not correct. Imagine someone having a waist of 32 inches and having a hip of 60 inches. I'll put the screenshot of the measurements on the screen so you see it. So definitely there is no fashion designer that will see that measurement and know that this is not correct. And told them, but they insisted on the exact measurement, that is the measurement, this and that, this and that. At the end of the day, I did as they wanted. When they received the clothes, they sent me the picture that, oh, see what I saw, it's not right, it's not this, it is that. In fact, we had a lot of back and forth before we could arrive at something, because I was going to sew so many for them. All right. So at the end of the day, they discovered that the measurement they sent in was not correct, which I brought to their notice, but they insisted I have to follow what they sent. That the person is have a wider hip, this and that. So what am I trying to say? Our clients most times do not understand when we give them advice. I mean professional advice. But at the end of the day, if there is any itch or any mistake on their job, they they will put all the blame on you. That is why you need to put terms and conditions on the measurement. You know you are not the one that took it, because the way we take our measurements are different. So please take note of this. Do you have this type of experience? If you've had this type of experience, please share with us in the comment section so that we can learn from one another when it comes to measurement taking in the fashion industry. All right. So also, if you are going to accept that type of job where clients will be the one to send in the measurements, these are also the things you need to take note. You also need to do. Ask for the picture of the client you are sewing for. Ask for the picture of the person so that you can check the picture and the measurement, if they align, if they look the same. You understand? So that will help and serve as a guide to you. Or better still, try to have a Google Meet meeting with them online using Google Meet and all other app meant for meeting. So when they take the measurements, you'll be able to see what they are taking. Tell them to take the measurements with the video of how they are taking it, so you can see how it looks like and make the necessary adjustments. This is a mistake that cost me a lot. That is why I'm sharing it with you. And these are the basic things, because there is no way you are perfect, you are good, and you are being given a wrong measurement. There's no way you can come up with something good. You cannot. So these are the things we need to know, because I know some of us have not had this experience. Some of us, we only saw in our locality. But if you are going to be going international, please work with that. Work with these tips I've just given you. All right. Lining is a very vital part of our work as a fashion designer. Lining is very, very vital, because it stabilizes our our major material. It gives our work structure. It gives it structure, and it enables us to give a very neat finishing. That is the major work of a lining. All right. Now, we shouldn't take lining lightly when we are working. There are different types of lining to use, and it gives us different results in most cases. Or let me say, in some cases, it gives us different results. It depends on the type of lining we use and the way we use it. All right. I have three types of lining. Yeah. The major ones. There are other types, but the major ones. And this is the major one. We call this in Nigeria Aba lining. For those that are not in Nigeria, we call it China material, China lining. It's very light, very, very light, like like a polythene stuff. It's not pure cotton. Okay, and this is the cheapest we can find in Nigeria. This is the cheapest lining you can find in Nigeria. All right, but you cannot compare this with this other two. This is Aba lining or China. Why this is spider material? We call it spider here in Nigeria. I don't know in other country. And this, but it comes in bale. It comes with sample material. It comes with like bedsheet stuff, but it is cotton. It is cotton. Now, this is what I'm trying to explain. When you are working with this, try not to make a mistake, because if you make any attempt to lose it, the lining damages along with it. It damages along with it. So you have to be very careful. It's not flexible. You have to be very careful with it. Okay. So what I always do, and what I will advise you to do, if you get a job it is poorly paid, use this Aba lining or China material. Use this. For an averagely paid job, use this. This is pure cotton, but in some cases it comes as fairly used. But in some cases it comes as new. And this, I go for the ones that are new. This is new. You can hardly tell. This is new. Pure cotton. You can see that. And it has double length. It comes in double length. Unlike the spider that comes is not up to 45 inches in length. But for this one, very thick. In fact, sometimes thicker than spider. And it comes in double length, 60 inches. So you get to where you'll be using 4 yards of spider or Aba lining, you'll be using 2.5 yards of this. So I usually go for this, and I try to select the best. Then in a well-paid job, please go for spider material. It is cotton as well, not 100% cotton. This is not 100% cotton, but it's very stable. When you make mistake and you correct it, it will not even be visible. It won't be visible at all. So these are the three types of lining I work with, and they work very well. I like working with this one because it is cotton. In fact, most of my clients that uses the fabric I sew with it prefers it, because even when they sweat, it absorbs without causing irritation on their skin, and it doesn't stick to the body. Unlike this, all of us know that if water should touch this, it shrinks, and there is a kind of this feelings it has on the body. Hope you understand. So this is the way we can make use of our lining. And also, try to iron your lining before working with it. Iron your lining before working with it. Especially if you are working with the one that comes with bill, this type of this category. You have to iron it so that it can give you the accurate measurement. But the problem with this is that you cannot afford the mistake of making mistake while sewing, because it will damage it. It will damage it. I'll show you. Um, yeah. After washing, this is what it will give you. Can you see the result? When it is new, this is it. When after washing, this is what it will give you. And you can see through it. Hope you can see that. You can see through it. This is how less quality it is. So I hardly use this for my clients. But if it is a well-paid job, it is advisable to use this. But if it is an averagely paid job, go for this. And you can also go for this even if you have a well-paid job. Just make sure you go for the clean one, the new one, or you go for spider. This is another type of the material, the lining I told you they usually come in bale. Okay, so this is another, and this one is crepe. This is I got this from the bale of crepe. Okay, so if you look at these two linings, they are different, even though they are from bales. Okay, you can, and also you can notice how neat it is. So when I'm talking of me using it, I use quality. This is quality one. It is also cotton, but this is lighter. and this is thicker. So to know the right lining to use depends on your fabric and majorly depends on your style. If you are to obtain a structure with your style, use a thicker one. But if you are not after structure, if what you want to achieve is like a falling style, you use a lighter lining, even more lighter than this. I'm only using this as an example. You can see the traces of my finger behind it. Okay, why this you can't observe this one. So this is different. This is cotton, and this is the falling type. This gives the shaking effect. This type of lining give shaking effect. Why this does not give a shaking effect? This one is rigid. Why this is the lighter one that gives a shaking effect. And this is majorly good for flare. Any style that has to do with flare, you know, at the down part from knee line below, it's good. If that is where the major style is. But if you want to get rigidity, structure with your flare or with your any other part of your style, you use a thicker one. All right, that is how to identify the right lining to use. We cannot talk about fixing errors without talking about avoiding errors. To avoid errors in your sewing, so you won't be losing and losing and losing all the time, and losing damages fabric. What the most important thing you need to take note and you need to do to avoid errors is making use of this pin. You see this pin, there's no way you can outgrow it as a fashion designer. You cannot outgrow it. Even if you are in advanced level, you cannot outgrow using this pin. It is very, very important. Always try, learn it, the habit of holding your fabric with it. Learn to hold your fabric together before you stitch. Let's assume I want to stitch this together now. All right. And you can see one is longer than the other, but I needed to stitch it and making sure both are at the center. After getting the center, I will need to use my pin to hold it like this before going to stitch it. I'll need to use my pin to hold it. Doing this, you are saving yourself a lot of stress. You are saving yourself a lot of stress because at the end of the day, it will give you a preview of what your work is going to look like after stitching. So let's not abandon pin. Most of us have abandoned using pin and we just go ahead to the sewing machine and stitch. Let us use pin to hold together like this. So now that I have hold it, I can turn it inside out. You can see. So it means by the time I sew, this is what I'll be having. So if I'm not satisfied with it at this level, I can just easily pull out my pins. I can easily pull it out. But if I'm satisfied, I go ahead and stitch them together. This is the work of pin. It helps us to avoid errors. And when you avoid errors, your work will come out very neat. Very, very neat. Very, very neat. Okay? If you know you are learning, subscribe, share, give us a thumb up. And if you have any question on what I'm teaching, please drop it in the comment section. I do go across my questions, my comment section to answer all questions. In fact, this video is as a result of one of the comments I had in in my last video, yeah, where someone said I should do the compilation of tips in sewing, and that is what gave me the idea of coming up with this video. So if you have questions, please drop it in the comment section. If you have a contribution, please drop it in the comment section. If you anything you want us to learn, you can drop it in the comment section. Okay, so like, share, and subscribe. When we are sewing and you make mistake and you need to loosen up your stitch, please and please avoid using blade. Avoid using blade, because no matter how good you are with blade, a point or a day will come that it will affect your stitch. It will affect your job. You understand that? So try as much as possible to run away from blade. It may be fast, but it is risky. Okay. So what is the alternative we have? I work with this long needle. I work with this long needle sometimes. And if you work with the needle, this is how to work with it. This is how to work with it. Just pick one of the stitch line, bring it out. Once you're able to bring out your thread, you cut the front one, come to the back. The back will be a bit loosened. Pull again, come to the front. You can see there is no thread. You use your finger to bring it out, you see. Pull it, go to the back. Use your finger to bring it out again. You can see, pull it. And that is what you continue to do. I use my finger to bring it out again. You see that? Pull it. And that is how you continue till you are through losing. This is safe. And you can see where I stitch that it remains clean and neat, not torn. Nowhere is cut. All right, so that is what you keep doing. And at a place where you feel it is tangled, use your needle again. Come back to your needle to start bringing out the stitch one after the other. It may take a bit of time, but it's worth it because you see have your material intact. Intact. You can see that, and you continue. And if you are not using this method, we also have other method we can use. You see this tool, it is called seam ripper. Every fashion designer should have it. Seam ripper. It is meant for ripping out stitch. And this is how to use it. Open your stitch where you want to open, where you want to unstitch. Open it up. You see this red dot will be the one facing down. What is its work? Its work is to help you separate the fabric from each other. So that is what you insert in. You see in between is like a blade, very sharp, but at the same time protects your fabric. So you dip it in and then you can see, look at it. You move forward a bit. I unstitch it in less than 5 seconds. You can see that. And this is another way to use it as well. In a case you don't want to just slash through your stitch, open up your stitch at the other side like this. Then since you are able to see the face of your stitch, you use this to pick it out one after the other, just like this. You should also be careful with this because it can also damage your clothes if you don't know how to use it. Okay, so this is it. I was able to cut one out of my stitch. Then it helps to open it up. You continue. You can see that you cut, you open up, and you cut it. It's a very good tool. It's a lifesaver. You can see how I'm unstitching it. So this is how to use this seam ripper. And also it also helps in a case where you back stitch and your stitch is very thick. I have one here. You can see this is the starting point. I back stitch there. It will help you, just like the method I show you. Just pick a stitch at a time and cut through. You can see because I back stitch there, it will not open up easily. So just open and pick one at a time. You can see that it's open. So it's an essential tool that you need to have. It helps with your unstitching. Hope you are learning something. If you are here to subscribe, like, and most importantly, share this video. Let other fashion designers see it. Share it, share it, share it. In fact, save it on your phone so that it can be handy at any point in time. All right. When you are working with net lace or any perforated lace, and you needed to add an underlay before the lining, in this 21st century, you don't just sew it together. We laminate it. In case you are yet to get that update, I'm giving you the update now. We laminate our fabric now, especially laces that needed underlay, the net lace, the transparent lace, the perforated laces. Okay, so and we have three major ways to laminate, which you can laminate your fabric with the underlay before this net. Yeah, this lace, you can see it is a net lace, and you can see my finger through it. All right, so we need to use an underlay for it. So this is a Duchess material. I'm using a Duchess material for the underlay. Like I said, we have three ways in which we can use to laminate. The first one is to make use of your hemming gum, or you make use of your candle gum, or you make use of liquid gum, or you use hoo gum or any fabric gum. All right, so if you want to use the hemming gum, we have two types of hemming gum. We have this one, which is not more than 2 inches. It's no more than, sorry, it's an inch, 1 inch hemming gum. And we also have the one of 10-inch hemming gum. So for proper lamination, you make use of the 10-inch, but that one is not common. This is the most common one. So if this is what is available for you, this is what you will do to laminate your fabric. I have a video on that in my channel. You can search through, but I'll still do it for you here to see. So let's assume this is my net lace, and this is a Duchess material, which I want to use for the underlay of my net lace. Okay, so this is what you will do. You cut this you place your hemming gum on your fabric. Make sure it covers every area you want to laminate. You make sure you cover it. Lay them one after the other closely. Arrange them properly, just like this. But at the pin, it's this the 10-inch um hemming gum. It's wide. One just a sheet will cover everything. Okay, so you place it like this. Put um your lace on it like this. You know it will cover it. I'm just using this for illustration, just for the purpose of this tutorial. Okay, place it on it and use your steam iron to press it properly. Use your steam iron to press it properly. All right. After pressing it, you will notice it is laminated. You won't be able to differentiate between the underlay and the net. You won't be able to differentiate because the two would have glued perfectly well together. And this is the best way of laminating your fabric. The best way. The best way. Especially when you are able to use the 10-inch wide gum. And for the second method, in case you want to use uhu gum or the liquid gum, okay, so what we need to do, get your material, put your underlay on your workspace, take your uhu gum, and you do what? You put your uhu gum on different spots of your fabric, different spots and but close together in a close range. Okay, put it on different gum. At the end of when you are through, place your lace on it. Use your hand to smoothen it out properly and leave it for like 20 minutes to dry. It will be properly laminated. This is the second method. Now, for the third method, it's for you to use your candle gum, which you also need a candle gun to use in applying it. But in the case where you don't have a candle gun, just look for a stable fire, like a gas cooker, just like this. Put it close to it, melt it. Once you're able to melt it, drop it on different spots of your fabric, on different spots. Let me make sure this is done. Okay, so place it on different spots. But if you are working with a white fabric, please don't use this method. Use your gun. Don't use this method because of the flame. Okay, when you've applied it, place your fabric on it like this, your lace. Use your hand to stamp on it, and after some time, you leave it for like in 3 minutes. This one is dry, just in 3 minutes. And then let me cut it out so that you will see how stable it is now. So let's trim it on every side so that you can have a neat look. So look at it. You can see it is glued together, properly glued together. And you can hardly tell if it has underlay. You can hardly tell that. So this is the third method to laminate your net lace. All right. If you are learning, subscribe, like, share, give us a thumb up, and ask your question in this comment section. Ready-made bra cup. I've always come across this question on different pages, asking what size of bra cup should I buy for um bust of 40 inches? How what bra cup size should I buy for bust of 45 inches and for round bust of 45 inches? All right. So here I'll be answering that question here. It's also part of this compilation. Okay, so we have different type of bra cup, the ready-made, and this is one of it. And the second type, we have the push-up bra cup. That one is more effective in lifting up the bust. Okay, so now for you to be able to identify or know the bra cup you are to buy for your clients, either for corset or any material, any style, just make sure you know your round under bust. Whatever your round under bust is, whatever your round under bust is, if you are able to get an even number, add 4 inches to it, you will get the bra size you are to buy. you are to use. If you get an odd number, I mean, if you get odd numbers, add 3 inches to it. Now, this is what I mean. If your round under bust is 32 inches, that is an even number. Add 4 inches to it. That's 36, which means your bra cup size is 36, is size 36. But if your round under bust is 31 inches, add 3 inches to it. That gives you 34, which means your bust bra cup is 34 inches. So whatever your round under bust is, add 4 inches to it if it is an even number, or 3 inches to it if it's an odd number. I don't know if we understand that. All right. Then, furthermore, do you know that already made bra cup too can be caged? If you are yet to know that, please check my channel and check how to cage a ready-made bra cup is in my channel, and I explained it in details there. So another point to note is that whichever bra cup you are working with, for you to get a perfect round and a more protruded cup, make sure you dart it. Turn it to the other side like this. Measure 1 inch, half inch, or 1 inch as you prefer, but I always use 1 inch. I always use 1 inch. Just this is 1 inch. This is the center here. So you stitch down to the center. You stitch down. Sorry, you come down by 1 inch. So you stitch downward like this. So by the time you are done stitching, you have a more protruded cup. So you are going to have something like this. You are going to be having something like this. You can see it gives it a kind of more curvy shape. So it enhances your bust if you dart it. So you dart it by 1 inch or 3/4 inch or half inch, but it should not exceed 1 inches. All right. So that's another thing to note about bra cup. So either you are making a corset or whatever style you are making, and you are making use of bra cup, when fixing it, always make sure to get the middle of your bra cup. Get the middle. Either you notch it or you mark it out, indicate it with something, okay, to get the center. Always get the center like this. It helps in fixing, and also in fixing it and placing it correctly. You can see I've marked out the center. So when you are now fixing it on a corset, for example, you start your stitching from the center. You stitch from center to this side. You come back again to this center and stitch this way. Don't ever start your stitch from the beginning like this. At the end of the day, it may alter your measurements. It may not circulate. It may not rhyme properly. It may not be aligned properly. Okay, so always start your measurements from the middle of your bra cup, and also the middle of wherever you are fixing it to. Align the middle and stitch from center to side, center to side. Some of us doesn't know that the front armhole and the back armhole are not the same. The front armhole is different from the back armhole. So let's quickly draft that in a jiffy. So if you are drafting for let's start with the back. If you are drafting for the back or the front, like I said, let's start with the back. This is our starting point. All right. So I'll be dividing the two so we can differentiate between the two. Okay. So now let's assume this is our neckline. This is our neckline for the back. Why this is our neckline for the front? Hope you know that the front neckline always comes down more than the back. All right. So let's start with the back. After getting your neckline, then you slant down by 1 inch. Slant down by 1 inch for the shoulder to get your shoulder slant. You connect it. Okay. Then whatever your armhole length is, let's for instance, I'm using armhole length of 7 inches. So before I could connect this, I need to measure, um make it straight. So I'll measure whatever I have here. So let's assume we are working with 6.5 here. Yeah, so this is where it is. We are working with 6.5 here. You come down here and measure 6.5 too, so that your line can be straight. So we have the meeting point here. Then you now draw your straight line like this, and then like this. Then you now use your curve ruler, place it in a way where you connect it. The middle, you get your middle. If you don't want to use your curve ruler, let's use our hand. 7 inches. Where is the middle? 3.5. Okay. So probably from there, that is where you start curving your hand to. You curve your hand straight downward, or you from here you measure 1 inch. Yeah, like this. At this meeting point, measure 1 inch. So you connect from here, the middle here, to this point and to the line down there. So like this. This is the back armhole. Why for the front? Let's come down here by 1 inch. You slant down. All right. Our armhole length is 7 inches. We measure 7 inches. So you measure what you have here. You get a straight line. Let's assume we are working with 7 inches. Measure your 7 inches here. So we have the meeting point here. Then you connect. Connect it like this. Like this. Now for the front, to get your curve, you will need to measure out your middle, which is middle of 7 inches, 3.5. This is your middle. So you come in on this 3.5, you come in by half inch. Half inch here. So which means you'll be connecting this shoulder point, this half inch, and the line down here together to get your front armhole like this. Can you spot the difference? The front armhole went in by half inch at the middle point, while the back armhole goes straight down and curve by the tail, by the ending point. Hope you can spot the difference now. If you don't know before, now you know. I'm talking majorly on the inner side of our dresses, the dresses we have made. The inner side is also important. If you open the inner side of some people's the dress they've made, you will see the inside very rough. One thread will be flying out from one place to the other. Okay, so one of the ways you need to what you need to do to have a very good neat finishing is, one, by making sure you cut every thread after sewing. Every thread, make sure you cut it after sewing. All right, but the most common problem we are having is around the shoulder line, the side seam, and all possible inner stitches. Those are the common problem. But for this tutorial, because of our time, I'll be specially treating the one for the shoulder. How you can stitch your shoulder inwardly and not outside. Some people doesn't know how to turn it. Okay, so I'll be showing you in this video how you'll be able to arrange your shoulder, stitch it, and after turning it, there will not be traces of seeing your seam allowance. That way is for you to also have a very straight cut when you are cutting your fabric. Please, it's also very important. Make sure your fabric is very straight when you are cutting. Imagine, let's assume this is a fabric. Imagine you have a cut. Imagine you have a rough cut like this. Hope you can see this. You can see something like a zigzag cut here. It is not right. Make sure your hand is straight when you are cutting. Make sure your hand is straight. So even if you won't be weaving it at the end of the day, your cut still remains straight. But if you know you are working with fabric that losing easily, make sure you weave. Weaving also give you a neat finishing, and also with a matching thread. A matching thread is very important. That's another way of getting a very good finishing, neat finishing. But most importantly, always make sure your seam is inward, inward. So for this side seam, that is why we always make use of 1.5 inch for the sewing allowance, so that you first of all use the half inch to turn the side inward before stitching front and back together. Hope you understand that. So that is how you can get a very neat finishing.
So here is the practical section. Look at these three major material. I want to join them together without showing out my seam, all of my seam. All of the seam will be inside. All right. So what I did is I arranged them the way it should be. Okay. Then also I remember that I want to hold in that around that point. So I measured it and I'll be using pin to hold it down. I wanted to pleat that place, I mean, not a that. So I use pin to hold it down before stitching it. Okay. So now after doing that, I arrange it back the way it should be. Then I will have to open up one of the two material I want to join together and sandwich the second one in between it. Hope you understand that. At this point, I am sandwiching it. The shoulder part will be inside while I wrapped the down part around it. Then I started pinning it down like I've taught you earlier, to always pin down your stuff before you go ahead and stitch. Okay, so I'm pinning it down to see the result, to see my preview before going to the sewing machine to stitch. So this is what I'm doing here. It's better I take out time to pin down than for me to go and stitch, and at the end of the day I'll be losing it. So it's preferable. Prevention is better than looking for solution like they say. All right, so I'm taking my time to pin down. After pinning it down, I'll bring it up again. I'll open it up, I mean bring it to the right side and see my preview. Okay, so this aspect cannot be overemphasized. Trying to hide your thing is very, very important. It gives you a very neat job. It gives you a very, very neat job. Okay. So at this point, I am done putting my pin. I opened it up. You notice I've not stitched yet, to see my result first. So once I'm okay, I'll go to the sewing machine and then I'll stitch it like you see me do. After stitching it, just look at the neat finishing inside. You didn't see any stitch showing up there. All the stitches are inside. So at this point, also be showing you how to join the shoulder line, making the seam to be inside, to be hidden. So place the front shoulder and the back shoulder on each other, making sure they align, and wrap it with one of the shoulder. Turn up the lining to the back to make sure the other shoulder is sandwiched in between, then you stitch.
So when you're talking of stretchy fabrics, examples are like lycra. This is lycra. This another one. It's also stretchy. These are net. These are sample nets, but it's also stretchy. Like you see stretchy. These another sample material. It's also stretchy. You can see that. This is lycra. You can see how stretchy it is. All right. So materials like this do frustrate most of us fashion designers. So what are the tricks in sewing them? All right. So that is what we want to discuss. How to work with stretchy fabric easily. When you are working with stretchy fabrics, the first thing you need to know is that it doesn't need sewing allowance. It doesn't need sewing allowance at all. If you add sewing allowance to it, at the end of the day, it's going to make your work bigger than the usual size, than the normal size you wanted. So what we do, the trick there is that you will not add sewing allowance. Instead, you will subtract 1 inch from the actual size, from the actual measurement out. For instance, if the round waist is 32, on a non-stretchy fabrics, You are supposed to divide it by 2 and by 4, which is 8 inches. Then you add your sewing allowance. But for stretchy fabrics, after dividing it by 4, which is 8 inches, you will minus 1 from it. So which means you are going to be marking 7 inches on your fabric on this stretchy material. No inclusion of sewing allowance, except if the fabric is not that stretchy at all. That is when you include sewing. That's when you not minus 1 inch from it. But if it is stretchy like like lycra, like this one I'm showing you, if it's that stretchy, then it is advisable you subtract 1 inch from it, and also don't add sewing allowance. Hope we get that. All right. So the next point in sewing stretchy fabrics is that you need to work with interfacing to stabilize it. You just need to work with interfacing. But there are some cases when I'm talking of interfacing, I'm talking of gum stay, all these paper stay, the BFF, A stay, wording, they are all interfacing. But in the case, probably you just want to sew a simple gown with velvet material. Velvet is also a stretchy material. Okay, so if you want to sew a simple gown, you can't just interface it when you are not adding lining, you are not lining the inside. So what do you do? To work in that type of situation, what you do is after sewing, when you are sewing, I mean, do not stretch. Do not stretch it when you are sewing. Do not stretch. Just let the fabric relax under your machine footer, all right, and let it sew. Do not stretch, because if you stretch when you are sewing, if you pull when you are sewing, it alters your measurement. And it alters your shape. Okay, so do not pull when you are sewing it. Okay, and also when sewing, we all notice that when we are sewing stretchy fabrics like this, our machine refuses to sew. In fact, that can be so frustrating. By the time the machine also pick up to start sewing it, they skip at intervals. They skip. What do you do if your machine do not sew lacquer or any stretchy material like velvet as well? What do you do? This is an illustration I made here. This is what your machine does to you. Your sewing. When you are sewing, when I put this lacquer, when sewing, you can see how it's skipping. It doesn't even start sewing from the beginning. And when it started sewing, it skipped this very large stitch. Sew 2 stitches, and you can see the stitching is not neat. What do you do? Look for a paper, put it under your fabric, like you see. It is still the same material. I put a paper under it. You can see it. Put a paper under it. You have to be doing this for every stitch you make. So just look for a long paper, put it under it, then you sew. There is no way you put a paper under it and it will not sew. It will definitely sew. Then after you are done stitching, just come to your paper. It's not going to disturb it. Just tear it off like you are separating it apart, so that you can pull out all the um, paper underneath the stitch. You can see that. And then I have a neat stitch. After pulling it out, you can see the way I pull it out. So using a paper to sew stretchy fabrics helps you. It helps gives a neat stitch, a neat sewing. It helps it to sew. This is a trick that worked for me. I've been using it and it's worked for me. But we also have sewing machine that sews this as well. It sews this, like the big industrial sewing machine. They sew stretchy fabrics. But in the case when you have this type of problem, this is the trick to use in sewing your stretchy fabrics. Now, also, after sewing, you've escaped sewing your fabrics. At the end of the day, you are at the zipper side. It's so common that there is no way you sew your stretchy fabrics around the zipper side that it will not get clumsy somehow. There's still a kind of bulging out around the zipper. Okay, the bulging out of the zipper. So to control this or to avoid this, you have two options. The first thing is for you to add at the sewing allowance before you join it. At the sewing allowance, just add your interfacing. You can use paper stay, you can use A stay, but A stay preferably. Okay, so that is the first option. You add your interfacing to the hemming line, like the hemming line, then you extend it by 1 inch also, so that by the time you fold it, it will cover up. Okay, so that is an option. Another option is the straighten your zipper. Straighten it in the way you want it to look like, you want it to be. Then you put hemming gum underneath your sewing allowance. Underneath your sewing allowance, like you see me do now. I chose this method because it's going to give me a neat finishing, and I'm going to obtain two purposes. The first is I'll stabilize my zipper and also my sewing allowance, because it is a stretchy material. I'll be able to give it a neat look, like as if it is a non-stretching fabric. Okay, so that is why I chose this method. But there are times I'll use the other method if I'm sewing Ankara or stable material. Okay, so I'll choose the other method. So you can see the way it is now. Then I'll place my iron on it like this.